We're welcoming board members in person and remotely via video conference. And to our public viewers, welcome. We also have Eleanor Tatum is joining us, but she was unable to, because of a recent accident, to notify us of a public space where she would be. So she's going to be listening in, but not voting today. So thanks everyone for being here again. Note that the board meeting is being videotaped. A link to the video and transcription will be posted on the Olympic Authority website following the meeting. And as always, please, board members, when you speak up and speak clearly and identify yourself each time you speak or make a motion. You all should have an agenda in your board packet, and start today with Renee calling the roll.
Bill Beanie.
Here.
Frank Cardinal. Joe Martens.
Here.
Cliff Donaldson.
Here.
Steve Hunt.
Here.
Andy Lack. Betty Little. Art Lucy.
Here.
Diane Monroe.
Here.
Chris Pushkarsh.
Here.
Joe Zalewski.
Here.
And Eleanor Tatum.
I'm not sure how I answer that question because I'm here, but I'm not participating.
Fair enough.
Perfect.
Present.
Okay, present.
And we can see Bill Beanie. Bill, it's good to see you.
Oh, good.
So the first item for board action on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion approving the minutes of the board meeting held on December 19th, 2022?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second, Art.
All in favor?
Discussion.
Discussion, excuse me.
So that meeting, Eleanor Tatum was adamant in her decision to not support the mission statement. And it wasn't in the minutes, and she and I talked about it, and I was wondering if we could make sure to put in the minutes what she said. I asked her to send it to me, and ultimately the minutes, she asks that the minutes reflect that she objected to the proposed new mission because it did not adequately represent, in her opinion, the vast range of New Yorkers and athletes that ORDA is tasked to serve. I believe it's in our mission to be inclusive of all people, and I believe that the language used does not include people with disabilities, which was her primary concern. And I was wondering if we could modify the minutes and adopt them as modified to include her concerns.
So I clearly recall the discussion, and I don't have an objection to adding to the meeting minutes. Any other comments or objections?
I support the addition.
So, Cliff, we need a motion on amending the meeting minutes to include Eleanor's statement.
Yes, and then vote on the entire.
Okay, so could I have a motion on the amendment? As
So moved.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
I was absent from the
Okay.
last meeting.
Thank you. Joe Zalewski was absent. Motion carries. Thank you. Now, any further discussion on the adopting the minutes? I think we've had a motion already. Yes. And it was seconded. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Zalewski. Motion carries. Thank you. So today we have a matter on the agenda regarding the appointment or employment of a particular person or corporation. Requires discussion in executive session of the board. So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session, discuss matters pertaining to the appointment or employment of a particular person or corporation.
Joe Zalewski, I'll make that motion.
Could I have a motion?
Joe Zalusky, I'll make the motion.
So moved. Second,
I'll second, Diane.
Diane. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. So we're going to go into executive session, and the live recording will resume after the board votes to resume public session. And I would just ask the private members who are here to step out for a few minutes while we
when we do that, Joe, it looks like we now have Frank.
Yeah, Frank's on, so we should acknowledge his presence.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. The meeting is back in public session following a successful motion to end the executive session and resume the public session. No action was taken during the executive session. The next item on the agenda is the governance committee report. Chris, would you please give the report to the board?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman.
Chris, before you get started, Frank Cardinale has joined the meeting, so I wanted to acknowledge Frank's presence. Now, back to you, Chris.
Very good, and good afternoon to everyone. The governance committee met earlier today to take up some issues relating to the confidential evaluation of board performance, which includes our survey tool and the process by which we compile information. Folks will remember that this annual process is required by the Public Authorities Law of each and every board member annually, and that ORDA has adopted and uses the ABO, the Authorities Budget Office Model Evaluation Tool, to undertake this exercise. It's the responsibility of the Governance Committee to compile and summarize the responses to the survey. It's essentially a survey, and then see that they are submitted to various state entities that are specified in the Public Authorities Law. And that must happen within 90 days of the conclusion of our fiscal year. So this conversation was informed because in 2022, we did not achieve 100% compliance by members in submitting the survey, and we wanted to intervene to try to correct that. And as well, one or more members had suggested that the process in the tool might be improved by adding space to the form of the instrument that would allow for explanation or comment, if any, after each survey criteria response is made. And that would provide perhaps a more enlightened review of feedback and a window into how folks on the board are going through this evaluation process. So that's what we discussed this morning in the governance committee, and we had a good, healthy discussion, and in the end we resolved to add space to provide for, quote, explanation / comment, if any, end quote, after each of the survey criteria to present the opportunity that was identified for, like I said, that better window into the survey responses. There were no other changes proposed to the ABO model, so nothing substantive is changing here with regard to either the criteria in the model tool or the rating categories. All that remains unchanged. And the only other thing that might look a little different is the document itself will be a little bit longer. And so to accommodate the space we're adding, and will be page numbers, et cetera. So those minor format changes are pretty much what we're talking about here. I say minor, but hopefully they will help us get a more robust and insightful response when we go through this process. In addition, the committee discussed the process by which the governance committee receives, compiles, and summarizes the responses to this process, to this evaluation. And we'll be continuing to use our confidential board secretary and employ her to receive and protect the survey responses and transmit them confidentially to the governance committee so that we can fulfill our obligation to see that they are both timely submitted under the Public Authorities Law to the various state entities as required, the legislature, the chamber, the ABO, et cetera, and as well so that they are first and foremost in the minds of the governance committee members as we look forward and take a proactive approach to the feedback and the responses that come in these surveys, with an eye towards having that inform the future initiatives and work of the committee in the future. Pretty much, other than saying, this is a spring exercise for us. So, you can expect the survey and a missive from the governance committee imploring your attention to it and submittal of it in timely fashion. And that concluded the business of the governance committee transacted today.
Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Questions for Chris or comments on the report? Hearing none. Next on the agenda is the president's report. Mike, you.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Mike and Eric and I go way back. And they're used to Gore. If there was ever a lift issue and they were trying to work on it, me looking over their shoulder saying, how much longer? How much longer? So they know how to ignore me now. Okay, thank you. So we've been really busy since the board met last. We had a tremendous World University Games. The Olympic Authority staff were challenged tremendously with this. It was awkward, of course, getting ready for it through a global pandemic. When we expected to pull this off, when we agreed to with the inclusion of Russia and Belarus, there was the potential to have twice as many athletes as the 1980 Olympics. And we did this with the biggest Olympic region ever by including Potsdam and Canton and Saranac Lake and North Creek. And it was just a tremendous an event. And this slide, I think, is pretty special because we have board member Betty Little down at Gore giving out awards, and board member Art Lucy with his daughter carrying the torch and getting ready to light everything up. And of course, right in the top, front and center, Governor Hochul helping us at the opening ceremony with all the athletes lined up behind her. These games, the Olympic Authority staff really stayed focused. We were concentrating on providing the best field to play possible. We wanted our snow conditions and our ice conditions just to be perfect. And we went through 68 events with these games with no field to play controversies, no results, timing and scoring controversies. The broadcasting came off perfectly. The venues just shined, and it's all because of the efforts of the staff. And I don't know if anyone watched the Super Bowl, but the sod was falling apart. Yeah, the football players stepped on the logo in the middle of the field and slipped. And at the end of the game, there was a penalty with a big controversy. And that was just one game. We pulled off 68 of them right after 10 days. So down at Gore, they used the same courses for the freestyle as we did for the U.S. ski team skier cross, border cross. And the FIS officials and the U.S. ski team reps are saying that they want Gore to start considering applying for hosting World Cups. It's just a great course. The facility did great. And having the race finish arena right in the base area, and it turns out like this view of the ski jumps with all the people at the base. It's just the perfect spectator feel. And we hosted the first World Cup ski jumping event in North America in 21 years, and the first one in Lake Placid in 31 years. And FIS wants us to agree to annual events and consider bids for a Nordic World Championship in 2031. So Lake Placid hosted the first Nordic World Championship outside of Europe in 1950, and it'd be great to get them back again. These views from the World Cup ski jump with the spectators, we had 7,000 people on Saturday and Sunday, and it was just tremendous. The demographics of these visitors, we had tickets sold to people that lived in Las Vegas, a ton from Chicago, Cleveland, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, some from Florida, Washington, D.C., and a whole bunch from Long Island, Metro New York, New Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania. But just a tremendous event and a lot of excitement, and the staff really did a great job. NYS was busy hosting racing at all three of our mountains. Here's races at all three mountains and a little award ceremony at Bel Air. We pulled off the ECACs. New York State School, Colgate won, and all four teams that were at the ECACs qualified for the final 16 and are participating in the NCAA championships. All three ski areas here in March have started to expand our youth programming, working with local schools and trying to stay open as the days are a little longer after school, 2 days a week, to try to get some more skiers excited about the sport and excited about the facilities. I think everything's really positive, but there's cause and effect. So our labor costs are up. The new union contract has allowed us to hire more people. We haven't quite reached the pre-pandemic levels. We're still a little short-staffed in some areas and have to stay focused. But we are hiring more people than we had. We're also incurring additional operations through our decisions to do retail and rentals in-house, and that's affecting some of our numbers, both on the expense side, but also on the revenue side. And I targeted that bottom graph as the electricity rates. We talked to the board a couple times last year. We just couldn't find a sweet spot. That market is so volatile and so expensive, especially in Zone G, which is the capital district where Door's included in. That rate is super high right now. So what we did was just enter into a 12-month agreement, and we'll be going through the same process, shopping our rates very hard, trying to find a better window of opportunity, and we'll be reaching out to the board about that. This is just to show that all our successes are because of our staff. And this is a shout out to our finance department, our business managers. Right now, our growth in the number of requisitions for purchasing material is skyrocketing. And a lot of it is because of our operations of retail, where the retail is actually doing as many requisitions in a year as an entire venue like Gore or Whiteface or Bel Air. So it's cause and effect. We're having a ton of successes. We're working really hard, and it's our staff that are performing. And a twin, this isn't the same slide. This is a different slide. But this is just showing you through our cash management right now and our operational revenue to date. We've been able to utilize our positive cash flow to start investing, and we've made $30,000 in interest. This is something that had never happened before in the history of the Olympic Authority, and with the board's adoption of our investment policy, we've been following that. We've secured 2 separate 30-day treasury bonds, so that one matures on the 15th and one on the 30th, so that we have access to the cash flow as needed, and are rolling them through and trying to work hard again to make the right business decisions to make a difference. And with this positive cash flow, we've been avoiding different penalties based on installment-based fees or interest fees. And again, right now we're debt-free. This again,
Good time to be debt-free.
this is unheard of in the history of the Olympic Authority, but we've been making a lot of good, small decisions that have allowed the big results to be so effective. We started selling our next year's passes. We've already sold, a record number of them in March so far compared to our history, and 72% of these passes that have been sold are to new pass holders. We're in demand. So I think I missed a slide. Anyway, I didn't tell you or tease you, but we're gonna have a lot more information about this at the April board meeting, when we can review our pre-audited end of the year, fiscal year profit and loss statements and some of those results. And the April meeting will be at the training center. The conference center here is starting to host some conferences again. Right now, the June meeting's targeted for the training center. Also, the April meeting, we'll be hosting the Snowmobile Association in the conference center, including the 32 rink. And the June is, I think it's the state IT people. So venue planning. And this is the big meat and potatoes part that I wanted to talk to the board about. We're going into a new fiscal year. We've already committed $34.5 million of next year's capital to our purchase of lifts for Bel Air, Gore, and Whiteface, and the solar for Gore.
Pretty good timing with the electric rates at Gore being so high.
Yeah, it really is. That's going to be great. So this slide is just to show you our traditional capital maintenance allocations by venue. And our capital maintenance budget of $12.5 million has been steady for quite a while. But because of this unprecedented opportunity to modernize ourselves, and this investment is what it's resulted in, as I explained at our insurance board meeting, is that our total value right now that we're insuring has actually doubled in the last 6 years. So I think that we have to look really seriously at this maintenance budget and look for the capital maintenance of trying to increase this shortly, so that we can ensure that we're taking care of our new facilities as we expect to. And nothing's easy. The supply chain issues are actually worse. Right now, commercial electrical stuff is 52-week lead time. There's stuff that we ordered in August that we did it so that we could have it this spring when we shut down, and we still don't have it. I mean, we're getting very close to where we want it. But there's so many different challenges, from the market volatility, peer review, whether it's from engineering or architecture or from bidders, is a real problem still. There aren't a lot of people collaborating on this stuff. So sometimes there's disconnects and we're challenged by that. And even the regulators are having a hard time with peer review and trying to review projects.
Can you explain what peer review is in this context?
Well, sure. So let's just take a building project, for instance, all right? You have a structural component, you have a civil component, you have an electrical component, you have a mechanical component, you have a demolition component in a remodel. And all those done in a vacuum might look good on a piece of paper, but it's very difficult right now to find the labor force that has the time to review things, to match them up so that you don't have a disconnect between your demolition drawing and your mechanical installation drawing, for instance. So there's also a plumbing one. And these disconnects, if they're not caught on the front end, they're a change order on the back end. And we've been very successful over the last 6 years of not coming back to the board for change order after change order. And we've been very diligent, but there's also other parameters here, the turnover, some contractor uncertainties. And I got to give a shout out to the new Executive Order 22. This is a new parameter for planning and construction, and I'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. But the result is here in the bottom right, there's only 3 variables with anything that we're trying to accomplish in construction. There's quality, there's price, and there's speed. And the best you can do is choose 2 and sacrifice the other. Because if you want something with quality, cost effectively, it's going to cost you time. And I think that this is something that philosophically we have to accept right now in order to get value, because inflation, as we've talked about, has jumped up, and our windows of opportunity are short. So in order to be successful, we have not missed the season yet. It would be very easy to take on a project and not have all the parts and pieces lined up, and all of a sudden it wouldn't be ready for one of our seasons and would miss the season. The permitting, again, it takes time. There's all kinds of permits that we have to work through at all our facilities. And we have 4 facilities that are in the forest preserve, which adds another level of complexity to the ability to be successful in a timely fashion. And we have to be organized in order to make that happen. So Executive Order 22, it's a comprehensive policy that builds upon the ongoing efforts of the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, while also enacting nation-leading goals for state agencies and authorities to become more sustainable and resilient in their operations, planning, and development. This is robust, multifaceted, and will affect every department and division within state entities. And we all know how unique the Olympic Authority's entities are. We don't fit in a regular square hole. So this is going to take time to work through and meet these goals. So to go back to that iron triangle of construction, if we try to do something fast, we're not going to be successful. So we're going to have to take some time in planning to ensure that we meet all the expectations in order to continue to be successful. And we've been doing this. A lot of the initiatives and goals of EO 22 are the same values that the Olympic Authority's always had. And we've been a leader in sustainability. We've actually been award winning, and we were on the cover of DEC's Greening New York last year, and we were recognized as one of the only, or one of the few state agencies that had actually committed to hiring a sustainability officer. So we're doing the right things, but it's not getting easier. So generally here, I want to just talk about a lot of building projects because everybody's got building issues. And this is one of the places where some of the EO 22 stuff is, I guess, striving to have LEED standards. Well, we're in a LEED building. This is a great thing, but it takes time, and points that you acquire to get your LEED certification are easier with an office building with cubicles than it is in an open lodge. So there's a point where our philosophies are true, but the results might not be there based on the points. It's a battle. So the Bel Air here at the Discovery Lodge, the rental shop is just overcrowded. The kitchen needs modernization. There aren't enough seats. The Overlook Lodge is, inefficient, has some deterioration. It needs some work. The administrative building is the old manager's residence building, and the staff deserve better. The Sunset Lodge needs some utility infrastructure evaluations, primarily the water and wastewater up there at the summit. Gore, the Base Lodge, and Whiteface's Base Lodge and the Overlook Lodge don't have any fire protection. We know that we want fire protection. These things are going to be difficult with these old buildings, but something that we need. Gore's also an entranceway and roof and kitchen modernization. Whiteface, some windbreaks, some second evacuation areas, and more kitchen modernizations. So this is from the Discovery Lodge at Bel Air. It's only been 4 years since we built this new lodge. These are lines coming out the rental shop, lines in the rental shop. We tease each other in this industry. All we do is herd people. Well, these people can't be controlled anymore. They're busting out at the seams down there. Bel Air is having a fantastic year. And, it hasn't been a great snow winter, but it's been so comfortable. People are happy to be outdoors, and all our facilities are doing great. But, this is not unusual. This is the routine down there right now.
Mike, what do they do to help? I mean, my understanding is some of those lines are taking hour and a half, and people are not able to get on the snow because those lines are so long, and they've got a really good system. What are they doing to help the guests?
Yeah, we're doing a lot. It's not an hour and a half, but there are some lines that are 50 minutes on occasion, during the peak times, and we've done a lot. We've put the guests in vehicles and brought them to third-party rental shops just to get them on the hill quicker. We sacrificed that little bit of revenue for their experience, catering to them. But we've also have very robust systems to process people through, and have invested in more inventory and just trying to make it easier for everybody to get people through. But this is just a concept here where if you look on the top right, the wing to the right of that is actually the replacement of the rental shop. And go back here, this rental shop building with these lines in the upper right and the lines outdoors trying to get into it. was an ORDA installation about 10 years ago, and it has a fabric side insulated siding. And the fabric warranty was for 10 years. So it's time for us to do something. And it'd be easy for us to put purlins up in siding, but that doesn't address the square footage expansion that we need. So looking at a concept where we could put a 2-story addition in that on the top left would expand the seating space inside the lodge, and the bottom or the top right expand, and the lower level expand the rental shop. And then this would give the new entrance way to that rental shop.
Okay.
So everything on the right is already existing in that lower level.
So that upper level would be tied to the mezzanine?
Yeah, you can see it
Okay.
right now.
Up. Got it.
No, not to the mezzanine, but to the main floor.
Oh, got it. Okay, yeah.
And then this is a concept with the Overlook Lodge. You know, to meet the sustainability goals and provide the energy savings would be real simple, but very expensive. And we want to make sure that when we invest this money, it looks like it deserves it and is something new. So adding in some dormers and some gable end hip roofs and entranceways, make it a little more formal. Something that we're very excited about, and then adding a level of masonry around the lower levels of log siding so that it can look appropriate with the architectural vernacular, but more functional and give us an opportunity to get rid of the deteriorated original structure. So at Gore, the original cafeteria on the upper right there with the whoop-de-whoop roof has very little insulation in it. The entranceway is in the first corner there in the front right, and it bottlenecks inside immediately. So the lower level is just the concept, lower photo of taking off that roof and putting on a roof and adding a little bit of space above it, and then adding some main entryway doors in the middle of that section. And then one of the concepts that's being tossed around is potentially relocating the kitchen so that would fully alleviate that bottleneck and let the traffic patterns inside disperse very fluidly from a central location in all directions rather than keep coming back to this front corner. And at Whiteface, the Bear Den Lodge was a 2017 addition with that whole big wing on the right-hand side. And truthfully, it hasn't quite been finished. We're looking to install a patio like we have everywhere else, and guttering systems. And then in the lower level of the original structure, there's still some code violations that we need to address. But this is a great opportunity. This summer, we're going to be putting in the new lift that we ordered last year that goes from the Bear Den Lodge to the Legacy Mid-Station Lodge. That's in the top right there. And, you know, that's going to give us an opportunity to operate both those lodges in the summertime also. So not only would these investments be benefited from the winter season, but from the summer season where Whiteface has that the much more robust operation than the other skiers do at this time. So specifically at the 3 skiers, I'm going to talk about real quickly snowmaking, trails, electrical, and parking. And at Bel Air, there's still a need for some pipe replacement, especially on the lower mountain where the original pipe can't handle the higher pressures required by the new efficient snow guns. And then the main trunk line is the main line that feeds from the Pine Hill Reservoir to the snowmaking system. And that is a vintage of 1977 or 76. And we need to do some investigating just to see the integrity of it, to start analyzing when that's going to have to be replaced, because it's not a matter of if, it's when. We're also doing some work at the Pine Hill Pump House this summer that needs to happen, and then working towards building a reservoir with some of the regulations for stream flows and trying to ensure the downstream flow requirements. We want to have a reservoir to give us more abilities to balance out our systems. With trails, there are some trail expansion work that's on the radar, but also for the summer with hiking and biking trails. And we want to get into a Nordic loop at Bel Air. With the electrical distribution, Bel Air distributes power at 13,000 volts. It's the original 2 distribution lines are direct buried in the same ditch. So it's awkward to maintain those. If there is a fault, you have to shut everything down. So we're starting to switch things around where we've got some lines that we're trying to add loads to that are newer and take loads off of the original lines and just do things to manage the system nicely. And we're trying to get rid of all the live front transformers that are antiquated and dangerous and make sure we can get transformers with a good vault underneath them to bring the power up and protect all the connections and terminations from ease of access, I guess. Even with quality people, there's been accidents, and we want to make it as reliable as possible. So at Gore, it's kind of the same things where the Hudson River system is actually going on 30 years old, and that main line has had some failures in the past, and we're starting to do some investigations to try to see when we're going to have to replace that and how much of it we're going to have to replace. Gore's got a very diverse electrical distribution system. We're owners of a 35,000 volt substation at Gore, and we distribute to part of the facility at 35,000 volts where we own all our transformers. We also drop down to a 4,800 volt transformer and have distributions at the 5,000 volt distribution. And then down at the ski bowl, we're at 13,000 volts, very similar to Bel Air through that switch gear that I referenced earlier. And Whiteface with snowmaking, kind of the same thing. There's still some more older lines that are less than secure and reliable. We're trying to replace some of those. The efforts with the new efficient tower guns have been very successful there as everywhere else. We're starting to do a little planning exercise at the Weir, and are going to have to start bringing in more people to the conversation, but we're not sure what the long-term answer to the Ausable River monitoring is with that Weir. I know when that was built, it was thought to be the answer, but it's been criticized since, so who knows? And then there's a goal to widen the race trails. Whiteface still has a little bit of original electrical distribution at 35,000 volts that's above ground. We're trying to put some of that below ground and just protect it better. And all 3 mountains are looking to evaluate and see when the right time is to get into a compressor replacement program. There's still some old compressors at all the facilities, and Bel Air's got a slot for a brand new one to beef up their air plant. At Mount Van Hovenberg, the bobsled track's getting ready for bobsled skeleton world championships in a couple of years. And we've got a lot of work to do on the track. It was a 1999 track that has some maintenance needs, long overdue capital maintenance needs. The refrigeration system it goes back to before the Olympics. And there's a lot of modernization that needs to happen there. At the Olympic Center, the 1932 rink has a lot of masonry deterioration. And we're looking to try to start addressing some of that. Also, the USA roof and the garage roof need to be replaced. And when we do that, we'd like to probably put a little bit of a expansion above one of those so that there's a room for a media room, because right now, whenever we have an event and it's broadcast, the media rooms are taking up public space and blocking egresses, and it's always a battle to try to meet the egress codes. So the ski jumping, we want to do Judges Tower maintenance and some work at the observation area of the 128, some start improvements, and then improvements to the stadium building that wasn't touched, and that's 1978 vintage. We're going to install a summer surface on the K48. We did a lot of repairs on that jump and want to be able to use that. And then we'll have a 10, a 20, a 48, and then the 100 and the 128. And then we're starting to investigate whether or not we can do some kicker redevelopment and include an angle for some big air jumping into the pool in the summer also. And the training center, we've had USA Luge call Lake Placid their home for a number of years. And our new facilities have allowed USA Bobsled Skeleton to call Lake Placid their home, and biathlons calling us the home of their high performance, and Nordics on the verge of the same thing. So there's a lot more athletes using our venues. Some of these modernization efforts turn the venues into 12-month venues to offer summer training opportunities as opposed to just the winter month operations. And the athletes are looking for improvements to their strength and conditioning, the sports medicine and athletes recovery, some national team administrative space, and then potentially some dining upgrades. You know, one little concept is taking a lot of this area that we have and putting a small addition on it so that it could accommodate those needs. But with the strength and conditioning in particular, the para-athletes add a twist to it where the ADA are just a bare minimum standard for a para-athlete where in trying to, you have to look at how they can be successful too. And you can't build a ramp going up to every piece of exercise equipment. So you have to be very thoughtful about what you have and how you place it. And some of it actually gets sunk into floors so that then it can be used by any athlete. And we can't forget about the training center. We need to do a little bit more work at the summit with water, wastewater, the castle, and the chimney. But the toll house is the thing that's on my radar now. It's the electric service that's probably 70 years old, failed a couple of years ago. And that building, you know, which is just an architectural treasure, is deteriorating because of not being conditioned. So we have to try to jump on this as quick as we can. And our summer activities, we've done a great job, but we have to do more. We've been working.
Customer said it's ready. You don't need it.
What is it?
We
You don't need it.
identified the need for hiking and biking trails.
Your drug
expansion and
is ready
improvements
to pick up.
through our UMP process. And at all the areas in the forest reserve, we're trying to make sure that they're ready to be summer hiking and biking centers and can accommodate the crowds. This is something that we feel very strongly that we can provide front country solutions and allow DECs and DEC's rangers to avoid having backcountry problems. And, you know, I'm full of irrelevant trivia, and some of my figures might not even be true, but I'm convinced that 80% of the people that park on Route 73 don't make it to a summit of a mountain. And all those people should be at our facilities and trying to figure out what the experience is all about. We've got great facilities that have the infrastructure in place of parking, of bathrooms, of welcoming staff. We also have the services in place to help them out with restaurants and retail and stuff like that. So expanding these operations is something that we need to do and be a bigger part of this state problem. So in order to take care of all our facilities, it's equipment intensive. You know, we can't find a lot of labor. We got to make it easy for them. We can't expect that people are going to be out shoveling at every single sidewalk. Some of these sidewalks we have to plan so that they can be plowed. But we want to be busy when it's snowing. We want to be ready. So we need the equipment to maintain the facilities, take care of them, and allow the staff to react to weather changes, manage the risk, and get us ready for opening. And to take care of this equipment in the garages, our garages at Bel Air, or at Gore and at Whiteface are original from 1962. And the equipment back then was so much smaller than it is now. We've taken out garage doors, we've widened entranceways, but there's no space in these buildings to work. So we need to start trying to diversify, where it doesn't mean that we should be tearing these down and building new garages, but maybe these should become our rubber tired fleet maintenance centers, and our tracked vehicles should get a new building that can be closer to the snow or something at these facilities. Bel Air's got a beautiful garage. Everybody's jealous of it, and Bel Air doesn't appreciate it as much as they should, but it's already over 15 years old, and it needs a lot of work to maintain it as a beautiful garage. And this is something that we need to keep doing, and that goes back to that part of that $12.5 million capital maintenance budget over the long term, how it has to keep increasing. But the ski jumps does not have a garage. They had a small one in the staging building that couldn't fit the big equipment, and now that's our snowmaking pump house, and where the snowmaking pump has expanded the athlete area for changing and stuff. So we're going to talk to you guys about a small garage for the ski jumps, and Mount Van Hovenberg has a lot of needs too, but Bel Air, we need a grip maintenance building at the top of the gondola. You know, right now we should be doing that work in the winter time. That does a couple of things for our operation. It frees us up, the skilled staff up in the summer, so they're not indoors doing grip work. And in the wintertime, it keeps a skilled mechanic by a premier piece of equipment to help keep an eye on it while they're being productive. So this is something that the other mountains are doing, and it's a goal of ours for Whiteface. You know, there's wastewater plant upgrades at Gore, and Gore doesn't have the potable water storage to allow for fire suppression right now. So in our evaluations of fire suppression systems, we're going to have to analyze water storage or other avenues for providing that asset to the systems. The USA Bobsled Garage is really undersized for what they're trying to accomplish, and that's a need. There's a retaining wall out here behind the conference center that's a 1970 vintage and has a lot of deterioration that needs to be shored up. So with everything we're doing, technology, I mean, we have 453 workstations and 142 points of sale. These guys, we have miles of fiber optic lines and miles of Cat 6 and Cat 5 cabling, networking, everything together. No, I don't know how many networks we have anymore, but we keep networks separate, and we have switches everywhere for funneling the communications data everywhere. And we've had to embrace technology in order to be able to be better at our jobs and make decisions on information. So we have snowmaking SCADA systems. We monitor our electrical loads, but we also talk about today's resolution with the Domo software system. And this is a management tool to give us, allow us to make sense of the data. So there's so many people that are using this now to analyze real-time visitor information, real-time revenue information, or trends to see what's the hot selling item in the retail shop at every store, and share that information with the other staff so that everybody is benefiting from this knowledge and the trends and making the right decisions based on good information. And we have the opportunity to tie in even more and more data to this in the future. So we've used this system for 3 years. Sam's in the room over here who's been managing it for everybody. And he's the fireman that runs around for these Domo problems and does the programming for the customization of each of the reports, because the people in retail don't want the same reports as the people in a different department. And we're all using this system that's connected and integrated with our other systems of Accesso or Seriousware for our customer management systems. And then we're going to try to tie it into even more programs. But it's a powerful system. It's given us good tools to make good information and good decisions from. So we've been going year to year. We still could, but everybody's liking this system, and there's cost savings if we, our cost avoidance, I guess, or cost savings if we commit to a 3-year opportunity. So thank you.
Like that Domo system, so I was just looking at everything that's already in it, and you said we could expand it. So would that be the kind of system where, like, if somebody wants to, right now, my experience is that if somebody wants to get a lesson, they can get the lesson, but then they have to go get their ticket separately. And so if it's a week that they're sold out, it can be problematic. Whereas if they get their ticket and their rental, it's going together. So would that system help pull all that kind of thing together?
I don't believe that would be the system you need, but we are working with Seriousware and Accesso on improving some of our other customer management systems.
Okay.
Domo more takes the information and allows us through this customized programming to query the right information that we're looking for.
Okay, so like if they go to one spot to get their ticket and their rentals, that is a better experience. So, but they can't go to one spot to get their ticket and their lesson. And are you saying that that's something that's being looked at?
I don't know why they can't do that. I mean, they can't do it everywhere, but they can at the snow sports school locations.
They can sell tickets there,
Absolutely.
even if the weekend is sold out? Because it makes sense, you can anticipate a certain number of lessons, right? And wouldn't you just attach that number of tickets to it? We'll talk.
Yeah.
I see the face. I'm good.
Yeah. Liz,
Really interested in,
welcome back. We sell lessons, tickets, and rentals right through the snow sports school locations, correct?
we'll talk.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, Mike, for a very comprehensive look at the authority, and I'm sure you didn't even scratch the surface, ironically. It's a complicated place.
He's on.
Art,
I just like to make a comment about, I'm just go back to World University Games and I just want to give accolades to ORDA and its staff for a Herculean effort. I mean, it was unbelievable to have these events going on simultaneously across this huge region and to have it come off so well was, it just was, I was just so proud to be a part of it. And I just can't say enough about, you know, how everyone pitched in, and whether it was Mike shoveling a sidewalk at Whiteface or Michelle and Vero selling hot dogs in the Olympic Center. I mean, it was impressive how all of you just went way beyond your tasks. And it's why you're great leaders, is because you're not afraid to do things that, you know, we all love to pride ourselves on. Don't ask the guy to sweep the floor if you won't sweep it yourself. And it was just so evident. And then to have people from Europe, and I'm blessed to be married to a woman from Germany, and people from Germany would call, or I shouldn't say call anymore, it's more like email or WhatsApp or whatever. And is it really that beautiful there? Like, the TV coverage was absolutely phenomenal during World University Games. And we in America, we don't appreciate that event as much as the Europeans do. And to see the coverage of the live streaming every day from Gore, and they couldn't believe that the mountains were that majestic and that white. You may know that Europe didn't have a lot of snow this winter, and they experienced a really warm winter. They thought we were like airbrushing the backdrops. And it was real. And I just want to say thank you. It was really, really impressive. And I just had an opportunity to go to Park City last weekend, and they're just blown away that we could perform on a world-class basis on so many venues. And they know how tiny we are as a community. And it's pretty nice to walk proud when you go to other places in the world. And I'm just going to say thank you again, and job extremely well done.
thank you, Art.
Agreed.
Second,
Agreed.
agree with that.
So everyone has their own little anecdotes about, you know, the success, and I like to remind people that it was all done, the preparation was all done during an international pandemic, which made the challenge that much more difficult on so many levels. And the events were over 10 days. You know, this was not a one-shot deal. And we followed that by a bunch of, big events, the Empire State Games, the World Cup ski jump, which again was one of the most exciting experience as a spectator in my life, and had the minor role of, being up there on the medal stand with the athletes and being surrounded by more Polish people than I ever expected to be in my life. And the enthusiasm in the crowd was absolutely infectious, and I couldn't help myself but to do what I tell my kids never to do, which is pull out my iPhone and start, taking pictures and recording the video because I was so moved by the moment. So, I appreciate, Mike's very comprehensive presentation about all the different facets, what it takes to run the amazingly complex and different facilities that fall under, our collective roofs. So I'll second Art's motion and congratulate everybody for, doing a great job. And Mike is never bashful about the accolades for staff. And obviously it takes great leadership, but it took hundreds of people and hundreds of volunteers in this case to get the job done. But, doing it day in and day out is terrific. And I want to, congratulate not just leadership, but the staff who are managing, the lifts, making sure people are getting in and out of places. There's a lot of, I won't call them thankless jobs, but at times I'm sure they feel thankless, but all that gets done for every one of these events. And so it really is a great team effort.
I've had something on my mind that frankly, this was overwhelming for me because there's just so much.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about the last 5 to 7 years, which has been just unprecedented growth. And now I'm saying to myself, so now we're looking to the future and we have new goals, some of the same goals, some new goals. We have new challenges. We have, and I tried to make a diagram because that helps me. I think surrounding everything we do is an innovative mindset, which is essential to everything else we do. And then I love the Olympic spirit, the legacy concepts, and how we celebrate that and make it part of who we are. I see the sustainability, but then I see the challenges. I see, the maintenance needs. Now we have all this stuff, we still have to take care of it, and it has to be part of a plan. I see equipment needs, same story. I see continued growth. I see the technology demands, electricity. That means a lot of different partnerships, continuing to grow our partnerships, which I think have been remarkable. And in the core of all that is the people. And I'm wondering if maybe having had that presentation and giving us time to think about it, what is our collective vision for this organization in 5 to 7 more years? Who do we want to be? I think it's spelled out in all that we're doing, but rather than have it show in just in what we're doing, maybe it's time for a visioning effort that actually kind of pulls it all together in a way that allows us to better articulate our vision, because it's a little overwhelming. And when people have questions for me, which is a lot, it's hard to explain it because it's so complicated, and it's incredibly impressive. But at the core of my concern is I think we're always going to have workforce challenges. I don't think that's going away for a long time. So in addition to maybe really making sure we all have, this collective vision, I'm also wondering how we can shift our focus to make sure that those development programs are there. You take that, not in a haphazard way, but in a formalized way. In a school setting, you call it professional development. Development in general, I guess, that lifty who has a really good personality and loves the mountain, what else could they do? And how do we build our people as we go? I've been asking about workforce a lot, and that's just something, listening to you, that's been on my mind, all the people that make it happen. And I'm just wondering, is it time to really start making sure we've thought about our vision for 10 years from now even? Because, man, the planning that goes into it is remarkable. How long has North Creek waited? 2002?
1999 anyway, yeah.
So I'm just asking, as we continue to look to the future, is there a process we might want to consider for
Well,
developing a collective?
Yeah, I think it's a little beyond that too. It's because what we've accomplished over the last 6 years, when we've finished a project or a development and transitioned to an operation, it's been a new operation. So these Olympic venues, at the ski jumps had some summer operations, but not like they do now. And Mount Van Hovenberg really didn't have any summer operations. Little bit of hiking and biking and stuff, but not like they do now. Now they have the premier
So that's all program.
hiking trail and the,
Program is people, right? So
yeah.
it's remarkable what's happened here. And I just see down the road, I see a shift coming. And I think it's a good conversation for us to continue. I really appreciated that. Thank you.
So other thoughts? I don't want to ignore any of the people that are on video, and I see that Betty Little has joined us. I'm not sure when, but welcome, Betty.
Thank you. I just tried to turn my audio on because I'm with my daughter and grandchildren doing the campus tours in Boston. And every spot I thought I could find I was listening to turn on the audio, a crowd came around and started chanting. Yeah, so anyway, here I am. I apologize for all this, but I just want to ditto everything that Art said. It was incredible. It put Lake Placid has always been on the map, but it really put us on the map of the future as well. So very excited, very thankful for all that's been happening and all that we're doing. And yes, it's a lot of growth. It brings a lot of issues, but it sure is better than losses. Thank you,
Betty. Others before we move on? Okay, so there's no old business on the agenda, so we're going to move to the new business, and there's one proposed resolution on the agenda. Could I have a motion to adopt resolution number 478? It's a resolution committing capital and authorizing the president and CEO to enter into an agreement extending the contract for business intelligence software platform. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Ann Monroe.
By Cliff.
By Cliff.
No, I doubt.
And Mike gave us, I think, background information. Is there any other questions for Mike?
Yeah, as a new board member, I was just curious, how does the cost of this agreement compare with the previous one?
We've expanded some of the number of licenses so that we can expand the use. But where it was projected to be, if we went year to year, it was a 6% increase, I think. And this keeps it flat.
Other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. So that concludes the only business item for today. I think, as you can all anticipate, we're going to have a busy meeting in April and lots to discuss. And that meeting is scheduled for Friday, April 21st. Is there any other items? Art?
I just, I don't know if this is the appropriate forum for this or not, but I just want people to know that one of our biggest challenges at World University Games was fielding a men's and women's hockey team. And it was pretty rough to have one of the premier events from the 1980 Olympics, a possible not going to be a part of World University Games. And I just want to take this time to give Bill Beanie a big shout out, because he took that issue on himself and basically worked with other coaches to field a team, a men's team and a women's team. And without his wholehearted leadership and brain power and connections to the sport, we would have not had an integral part of World University Games. And I just want people to know what Bill did for the World University Games in Lake Placid and give him a big acknowledgement. Thank you.
How about a round of applause?
Yeah, I like.
Thanks a bunch. It was total pleasure to represent the North Country. And the one added piece I'll tell you, those games, I think, did more to make the North Country one team than anything else I can think of. And it wasn't just Lake Placid, it was the North Country. And I think it's going to pay dividends down the line because I think so many people from so many towns and villages got on board. It was exciting to see. And Art, could you call my wife and tell her what you just said?
It's live stream on the ORDA website. Herself.
Thank you.
And actually, there's a recording of it as well. It's not live. It's live stream right now, but there's a recording so she can hear the accolade.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Any other final comments? Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Art,
Second.
seconded by Cliff. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned as of 2:50 afternoon on March 24th. Thanks, everyone.